Emma, VO, this is the story I swore I'd never tell. I made it out, somehow. Not all of me, but enough to walk and talk again. Enough to breathe. And yet, some part of me is still in that house. You're going to think I'm making this up. I used to think stories like this were just that, stories. But what happened in that house was real. Too real. It started as a documentary. Just a harmless video. We wanted to film a haunted house deep in the woods of Ravenshade, a place locals call the House of the Dead. The name was more literal than we ever imagined. I remember the exact date. October 12th. We had 4 cameras, backup batteries, full signal boosters. We thought we were prepared. We weren't. There were 5 of us. Me. Emma. I was leading the project. Liam, my boyfriend, handled the camera gear. Jesse, my best friend, came along to debunk everything. Maya, my cousin, she always saw things others didn't. And Caleb. Well, we didn't know what Caleb really was until it was too late. We drove 5 hours off the main road. Then another 2 through dense forest. The trees swallowed us whole. Signal died. GPS froze. And then we saw it, the house. It wasn't ruined like in the photos. No. It looked frozen in time. 3 stories. Blackwood. Rotting porch swing creaking in the wind. Every window was dark, but I felt eyes watching us. I should have left then. I should have turned around and never looked back. I wasn't looking for anything weird. I swear. I was just bored. It was around 2:43 a.m., and I was doing what I always do when I can't sleep, endless scrolling on Reddit. You know the routine, bouncing between memes, creepy stories, and the occasional conspiracy rabbit hole. But that night, I found something else. Something that shouldn't have existed. A post popped up in my feed, just for a second. No upvotes. No comments. Just a title. Driftwood Riot, 4:12 a.m., drowned in bathtub. It was posted under a subreddit I'd never heard of before, r/final moments. I blinked. Refreshed the screen. Gone. It had vanished. Like it was never there. I figured it was some glitch. Maybe a creepypasta in progress. But then curiosity got the better of me. I typed the subreddit manually, reddit.com/r/final moments. Subreddit does not exist. What the hell? I know I saw it. I swear I saw it. Thinking I imagined it, I went to get water. But I couldn't shake the feeling. So, I did something stupid. I typed Driftwood Riot into Reddit's user search. It wasn't a throwaway account. It was real. And active. The last post? A selfie in his bathroom. Posted an hour ago. The caption read, "Can't sleep. Going to take a long bath." One night, something changed. Instead of just a name and time, the post had a message. "They see you watching. Come deeper." And then a link. I hesitated. Of course I clicked it. It led to a hidden Reddit-style forum. Not accessible by normal search. Not even archived. The URL was nonsense. Inside, it was quiet. A dozen posts. All recent. All horrific. Each post described someone's final minutes in detail, moments before they happened. Like a script. But then I saw the last post on the page. My name. U/real, username 427, 4:39 a.m., suffocated in bed. It was 4:12 a.m. I went cold. I stared at the clock. 4:13 a.m. What was this? A threat? A prank? My heart started racing. I didn't even realize I was holding my breath. I bolted out of bed. Tore off the blankets. Opened all the windows. Slammed the door open. 4:16 a.m. I called 911. Told them someone was trying to kill me. They thought I was crazy, but they sent a unit anyway. I wasn't waiting. I ran outside. In my boxers. Barefoot. 4:31 a.m. I sat on the curb, shaking. I told myself it was a coincidence. Until the next night. Same time. Same feeling. Same bizarre glitch. Another post flashed before disappearing. Snowy pixels, 3:08 a.m. Car crash, off Maple Hill Bridge. I wrote it down. This time, I googled it. Checked the local news. Nothing. I thought, okay. That confirms it's fake. But 12 hours later, I saw the article. Young woman found dead after car crashes off Maple Hill Bridge at 3:08 a.m. Name withheld pending family notification. It was her. It had to be. Her Reddit page? Deleted. Just like Driftwood Riot. I became obsessed. I started staying up every night, waiting to see if another name would flash. And they did. Every night. Around 2 to 4 a.m. a flash of text. A username. A timestamp. A method of death. I began writing them all down. Tracking them. Cross-referencing every name with news reports. Social media. They were all real. Every single one. And the creepiest part? No one else ever seemed to see these posts. The cops showed up at 4:38 a.m. They searched the house. Nothing. But when I finally walked back in with them, we found something. My bedroom door had been locked. From the inside. I never locked it. On my bed was my pillow. Slashed open. Feathers everywhere. But inside the pillowcase, I swear I'm not making this up, was a plastic bag. Tied shut. Perfect size to cover someone's head. That wasn't there before. I moved out the next day. I tried forgetting. I deleted Reddit. Bought a flip phone. Changed apartments. Left town. But a week ago, I received a letter in the mail. No return address. Just my name. Inside, a single piece of paper. We don't need Reddit to see you. And under that. U/Jericho, glass, 2:18 a.m., heart failure while typing. That's my new username. I haven't told anyone. I'm typing this right now. It's 1:57 a.m. I feel dizzy. I can hear clicking. Like keys being typed in another room. But I'm alone. This will probably be my last post. If it disappears, you'll know why. If you somehow find this before it's gone, stay off Reddit between 2 and 4 a.m. Don't search for r/final moments. Don't respond to messages that just say timestamps. And for the love of God, don't click any links. It watches through screens. It learns your patterns. It finds your name. Then it waits. Some say it's AI. Some say it's a demon. I think it's both. I'm going to press post now and disconnect everything. If I survive, I'll update. If not, check the mirror behind you. You're next. True, nervous, very, very dreadfully nervous. I had been a damn, but why will you say that I am mad? The disease had sharpened my senses, not destroyed, not dulled them. Above all was the sense of hearing acute. I heard all things in the heaven and in the earth. I heard many things in hell. How, then, am I mad? Hearken. And observe how healthily, how calmly, I can tell you the whole story. It is impossible to say how the idea first entered my brain, but once conceived, it haunted me day and night. I loved the old man. He had never wronged me. He had never given me insult. For his gold, I had no desire. I think it was his eye. Yes, it was this. One of his eyes resembled that of a vulture, a pale blue eye, with a film over it. Whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold. And so by degrees, very gradually, I made up my mind to take the life of the old man, and thus rid myself of the eye forever. Now this is the point. You fancy me mad. Madmen know nothing. But you should have seen me. You should have seen how wisely I proceeded, with what caution, with what foresight, with what dissimulation I went to work. I was never kinder to the old man than during the whole week before I killed him. And every night about midnight, I turned the latch of his door and opened it, oh so gently. And then, when I had made an opening sufficient for my head, I put in a dark lantern, all closed so that no light shone out. He had been lying awake ever since the first slight noise, when he had turned in the bed. His fears had been ever since growing upon him. He had been trying to fancy them causeless, but could not. He had been saying to himself, it is nothing but the wind in the chimney, it is only a mouse crossing the floor, or it is merely a cricket which has made a single chirp. Yes, he had been trying to comfort himself with these suppositions, but he had found all in vain. All in vain, because death, in approaching him, had stalked with his black shadow before him, and enveloped the victim. And it was the mournful influence of the unperceived shadow that caused him to feel, although he neither saw nor heard, to feel the presence of my head within the room. When I had waited a long time, very patiently, without hearing him lie down, I resolved to open a very little little crevice in the lantern. So I opened it, you cannot imagine how stealthily, until at length a single dim ray, like the thread of the spider, shot out from the crevice and fell full upon the vulture eye. It was open, wide, wide open, and I grew furious as I gazed upon it. I saw it with perfect distinctness, all a dull blue, with a hideous veil over it that chilled the very marrow in my bones. And then I thrust in my head. Oh, you would have laughed to see how cunningly I thrust it in. I moved it slowly, very, very slowly, so that I might not disturb the old man's sleep. It took me an hour to place my whole head within the opening so far that I could see him as he lay upon his bed. Ha, would a madman have been so wise as this? And then, when my head was well in the room, I undid the lantern cautiously, oh, so cautiously, for the hinges creaked. I undid it just so much that a single thin ray fell upon the vulture eye. And this I did for 7 long nights, every night just at midnight, but I found the eye always closed. And so it was impossible to do the work, for it was not the old man who vexed me, but his evil eye. And every morning, when the day broke, I went boldly into the chamber, and spoke courageously to him, calling him by name in a hearty tone, and inquiring how he had passed the night. So you see, he would have been a very profound old man indeed to suspect that every night, just at 12, I looked in upon him while he slept. Upon the 8th night I was more than usually cautious in opening the door. A watch's minute hand moves more quickly than did mine. Never before that night had I felt the extent of my own powers, of my sagacity. I could scarcely contain my feelings of triumph. To think that there I was, opening the door, little by little, and he not even to dream of my secret deeds or thoughts. I fear and to. Perhaps he heard me, for he moved on the bed suddenly, as if startled. Now you may think that I drew back, but no. His room was as black as pitch with the thick darkness, for the shutters were close fastened, through fear of robbers, and so I knew that he could not see the opening of the door. I kept pushing it on steadily, steadily. I had my head in, and was about to open the lantern, when my thumb slipped upon the tin fastening, and the old man sprang up in bed, crying out, "Who's there?" I kept quite still and said nothing. For a whole hour I did not move a muscle, and in the meantime I did not hear him lie down. He was still sitting up in the bed listening, just as I have done, night after night, hearkening to the death watches in the wall. Presently I heard a slight groan, and I knew it was the groan of mortal terror. It was not a groan of pain or of grief, oh no! It was the low stifled sound that arises from the bottom of the soul when overcharged with awe. I knew the sound well. Many a night, just at midnight, when all the world slept, it has welled up from my own bosom, deepening, with its dreadful echo, the terrors that distracted me. I say I knew it well. I knew what I thought the heart must burst. And now a new anxiety seized me, the sound would be heard by a neighbor. The old man's hour had come. With a loud yell, I threw open the lantern and leapt into the room. He shrieked once only. In an instant I dragged him to the floor, and pulled the heavy bed over him. I then smiled gaily, to find the deed so far done. But, for many minutes, the heart beat on with a muffled sound. This, however, did not vex me, it would not be heard through the wall. At length it ceased. The old man was dead. I removed the bed and examined the corpse. Yes, he was stone dead. I placed my hand upon the heart and held it there many minutes. There was no pulsation. He was stone dead. His eye would trouble me no more. It is the beating of his hideous heart. But I could see nothing else of the old man's face or person, for I had directed the ray as if by instinct, precisely upon the damned spot. And have I not told you that what you mistake for madness is but over-acuteness of the sense? Now, I say, there came to my ears a low, dull, quick sound, such as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I knew that sound well, too. It was the beating of the old man's heart. It increased my fury, as the beating of a drum stimulates the soldier into courage. But even yet I refrained and kept still. I scarcely breathed. I held the lantern motionless. I tried how steadily I could maintain the ray upon the eye. Meantime the hellish tattoo of the heart increased. It grew quicker and quicker, and louder every instant. The old man's terror must have been extreme. It grew louder, I say, louder every moment. Do you mark me well? I have told you that I am nervous, so I am. And now, at the dead hour of the night, amid the dreadful silence of that old house, so strange a noise as this excited me to uncontrollable terror. Yet, for some minutes longer I refrained and stood still. But the beating grew louder still.